Is Ripple going to take over Visa in cross-border payments? Is the World Bank supporting XRP? What does Ripple CEO say on volatility of XRP? Stay tuned till the end of the video to find out. But first, we are giving away 50 XRP coins at the end of the month to one random subscriber to start on their XRP journey. All you need to do is to like the video, subscribe and comment your thoughts on XRP in the comment section. Welcome back XRP Army. Let's grow the XRP Lab community by pressing the like button and subscribing to this channel to stay updated at all times. Cross-border payments. Even though Ripple is battling tooth and nail to establish that it was not given enough warning that XRP will be treated differently from cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ether, the lawsuit has raised questions about the future of XRP, which is a significant income source for the firm. Sadly enough, following the news of the SEC lawsuit, the value of XRP plummeted by 50%, falling from monthly highs of 66 cents to lows of 22 cents. And in order to diversify, Ripple is now working on improving the capabilities of its cross-border payment system, RippleNet, as well as embarking on a charm offensive aimed at authorities in other countries. And also, Ripple intends to work with London-based Modular, which is one of the few non-banks that has access to Bank of England settlement services, in order to facilitate such cross-border payments. The firms want to work together to provide clients with technologies that will allow them to make rapid and inexpensive cross-border fiat transactions into Europe from the Asia-Pacific, North America, Latin America, and Middle East areas. More importantly, the World Bank referred to XRP and XLM as stable coins. Take a look at what Digital Asset Investor has tweeted. I think I have seen this from the World Bank before, but in light of today regulatory talk in the US on stable coins, it is even more interesting. Why would the World Bank refer to XRP and XLM as stable coins? So the document of the World Bank read as, stable coins refer to a class of digital currencies that are relatively stable in terms of their price. Stable coins offer instantaneous processing and security of payments as many cryptocurrencies do. They also offer stability with respect to their parity against fiat currencies. Two digital currencies that fall into this category are RippleNet's native currency Ripple XRP and Stellar Networks' native cryptocurrency the Stellar Lumen XLM. Both Ripple and Stellar enable faster and more efficient cross-border payments relative to correspondent banking. However, they differ in that the former aims at improvising cross-border payment settlement between international banks, whereas the latter aims to provide low-cost cross-border payments financial services to end users in the unbanked population. Is the World Bank indicating XRP to be a future cross-border payment source? I do not believe this is a coincidence, and you must question yourself why this is so. Why would they refer to XRP and XLM as stable coins, when these currencies, as you are well aware as a holder, are always fluctuating in value? Unless there is a plan for them to become stable coins, they are not stable coins. That is the only thing that makes any sense in this situation. Then goes on to say, Ripple is a real-time gross settlement system, currency exchange and remittance network created by Ripple Labs Inc., a US-based technology company. Ripple enables multinational corporations to settle cross-border payments by transferring XRP through the Ripple network, resulting in on-demand liquidity. The three parts of the Ripple ecosystems are servers that maintain the ledger, second is clients, and thirdly intermediaries. Unlike Bitcoin or Ethereum, Ripple does not run proof of work, nor does it run a proof-of-stake consensus mechanism. Instead, Ripple transactions rely on a Byzantine generals problem, BGP consensus protocol, known as Ripple gateways, to validate account balances and transactions of the system. 71 The Ripple settlement process involves the creation of a transaction that is signed by the account owner and submitted to the network. Badly formed transactions will be rejected immediately, otherwise, they are provisionally included on the ledger. So, the World Bank is referencing and discussing XRP and Ripple cryptocurrency. And that could only indicate one thing. They are looking forward to Ripple's ability to make cross-border payments more convenient. Before we go on to the CEO of Ripple, let us take into account how crucial liquidity is for the cryptocurrency XRP. So, I want to direct your attention to an interview conducted by Digital Asset Investor in June of 2020 with Greg Kidd, an initial investor in Ripple who formerly worked for the Federal Reserve. He currently has 1 billion XRP in his possession. In the interview, he emphasizes the importance of liquidity for XRP, rather than the price. Now, let's hear what he has to say. So for Ripple to be successful, XRP needs to be liquid. So, there is no friction getting into it, and out of it that liquidity is in many ways more important than the absolute price. But to those of us that see it being in demand, well, when there is more demand than supply, the prices rise, and that is beneficial to be on that ticket. He is talking about the liquidity, and then obviously is that the more demand you have, the prices rise. So, if XRP is going to be used for the world, then XRP has to have some kind of at least stability with a floor. And here is Brad Garlinghouse talking about stability of XRP. I hear people talk about volatility, and I feel like they are propagating misinformation. The volatility risk of fiat. Your volatility is just a mathematical calculation of time times volatility. If you hold fiat for, let's say, an average SWIFT transaction today is in the order of magnitude 2 days, that is about 180,000 seconds. An XRP transaction is 3 seconds. So, if you take a low volatile asset time a long duration fiat, or a high volatility asset versus a very short amount of time, it turns out mathematically there is less volatility risk in an XRP transaction. There is not a fiat transaction. The difference is you have market makers when you do a SWIFT transaction. There are banks saying there is a market maker saying "I will lock in that rate. I will take the volatility risk for the next 2 or 3 days with XRP." You do not have to do that because it settles so quickly. So, how high does the price need to be that it will get stable? What do you think? I am going to give you guys the highlights of an interview with David Schwartz, the Chief Technology Officer at Ripple. He claims that the current price of XRP reflects the speculative ripple in the market. As previously stated by David Schwartz, the price of XRP must be at a sufficiently high level to target high-value cross-border payments at some point. However, the price of XRP must be at a sufficiently high level to target such cross-border payments. Because the price of XRP cannot remain at 63 cents in perpetuity, what David Schwartz is proposing is that it will happen overnight, but that it must first rise from whatever the price is today to a high enough price, whether that is $50 or $60, $100, or $589, for Ripple to be able to conduct those large value payments in the first place. Afterwards, the cryptocurrency will be reasonably steady since you will need as many of them, which means there will be less demand for them. At that high enough price, supply and demand will remain stable. You may see fluctuations of fractions of percentage points, but the price will remain stable long enough to enable the conduct of cross-border payments around the world, particularly high-value ones that Ripple has been adamant about targeting since the beginning of the company. Could this be the case, as suggested by the World Bank study, in which stable currencies such as XRP and XLM are classified as such? Once they reach a certain level of value, they will theoretically remain stable. For example, if XRP reaches a price of $589, there will be almost no volatility, and so people purchasing those coins at that point will not be doing so as an investment, but rather as a means of obtaining a utility. When will the price of XRP break the dollar mark? Make sure to subscribe and give us a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Kindly note that the prices of cryptocurrencies frequently change, so by the time you watch this video, it might have changed to a whole new value. The information provided in this video does not constitute investment advice, financial advice, trading advice, or any other sort of advice, and you should not treat any of the content as such. The content in this video is for educational purposes only and hence should not be considered financial advice. Do conduct your due diligence and consult your financial advisor before making any investment decisions.